Death of Sinead O'Connor. She was a legendary musician and performer, admired for her feminist sense of resolve in the face of controversy. So, the news of how Sinead O'Connor died was upsetting for fans, particularly with the knowledge that her career was plagued by mental health struggles. Born on December 8, 1966, Sinead Marie Bernadette O'Connor, later to become Shuhada Sadaqat when she converted to Islam in 2018, released her debut album in 1987, The Lion and The Cobra. It charted internationally and was followed by the second album, I Do Not Want What I Haven't Got, would become her biggest success with the single Nothing Compares to You, written by Prince. O'Connor would go on to make 10 studio albums across her career, the last of which was released in 2014 titled I'm Not Bossy, I'm the Boss. But she would never conform to the presence expected or demanded of her. The media was making me out to be crazy because I wasn't acting like a pop star was supposed to act. She told the New York Times in 2021. It seems to me that being a pop star is almost like being in a type of prison. You have to be a good girl. How did Sinead O'Connor die? How did Sinead O'Connor die? On the day the news broke, no cause of death was given. The Guardian reported that London Metropolitan Police were called at 11:18 a.m. Wednesday morning to an unresponsive woman at a residential address in South London. O'Connor had moved to the city just weeks prior to her death, officers attended. A 56-year-old woman was pronounced dead at the scene. Next of kin have been notified. The death is not being treated as suspicious. A file will be prepared for the coroner. The Irish Times was the first outlet to report that O'Connor had passed, with a statement from her family that read, "It is with great sadness that we announce the passing of our beloved Sinead. Her family and friends are devastated and have requested privacy at this very difficult time." During an interview with People in 2021, O'Connor revealed her instructions to her children in the event of her death, including why she told them to call her accountant before 9/11. See, when the artists are dead, they are much more valuable than when they are alive. Tupac has released way more albums since he died than he ever did alive. So it's kinda gross when record companies do, she said. O'Connor continued, "That's why I've always instructed my children since they were very small. If your mother drops dead tomorrow, before you called 911, call my accountants and make sure the record companies don't start releasing my records and not telling you where the money is." In January 2022, O'Connor's 17-year-old son had gone missing while on suicide watch at Tolite Hospital. His body was recovered several days later. "My beautiful son, Niviam Nesta Ali Shane O'Connor, the very light of my life, decided to end his earthly struggle today and is now with God." O'Connor wrote on social media in tribute to him at the time, "May he rest in peace and may no one follow his example. My baby, I love you so much. Please be at peace." A week after Shane was found dead, O'Connor shared a troubling series of tweets that suggested she was planning on taking her own life. "I've decided to follow my son. There's no point living without him. Everything I touch, I ruin. I only stayed for him, and now he's gone." She wrote on an unverified Twitter account linked to her official account. An hour later, she revealed she admitted herself to hospital. "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. I'm with cops now on way to hospital. I'm sorry I upset everyone," she posted, adding, "I am lost without my kid and I hate myself. Hospital will help a while, but I'm going to find Shane. This is just a delay." In an interview with Dr. Phil in 2017, O'Connor revealed she'd attempted suicide no less than 8 times in 1 year after being flung into menopause by a radical hysterectomy. What kicked all of this off really was, "I had a radical hysterectomy in Ireland 2 years ago and I lost my mind after that," she said. "And that's what I think happened with my family, and we have to give my family credit. They're not here to speak for themselves, so I don't want to disrespect them. But the fact is, they didn't know who the hell I was." She continued, "I was told to leave the hospital 2 days after the surgery with Tylenol, and no hormone replacement and no guidance as to what might happen to me. I was flung into surgical menopause. Hormones were everywhere. I became suicidal. I was a basket case. After hysterectomy, I was mental. O'Connor also said her mother, Marie, tortured O'Connor and her siblings physically and mentally. She had a smell of evil about her. Marie died in a car accident in 1985. The first thing that came to mind actually is she's dead. She said, admitting it was a strange thing to say. I think that it was very kind of her, although I miss her horribly. I really ache for her, and I think that's part of where my suicidal instincts comes from, is that I want my mother. But I cannot wait the day that I naturally get to heaven so I can see my mother again. O'Connor also explained why she shaved her head. When we were children, my sister had the most glorious red hair, O'Connor recalled, like that gorgeous woman on that show, Mad Men. But my mother took it into her head that my sister's hair was ugly and horrible and disgusting. When I had long hair, she would introduce us as her pretty daughter and her ugly daughter, and that's why I chopped up my hair off. I didn't want to be pretty. And it was dangerous to be pretty too, because I kept getting raped and molested everywhere I went. When she was an up-and-coming artist in the late 80s, music executives asked if she would grow out her hair and wear short skirts. I didn't want to be sold on that, she told McGraw. If I was going to be successful, I wanted it to be because I was a good musician. Plus, I came from an age of protest singers. Notable moments from Sinéad O'Connor's incredible career. Irish singer Sinéad O'Connor was considered one of the most talented vocalists of her generation. However, the Nothing Compares to You vocalist was also a major cultural figure. Was unafraid to stand up for what she believed in. These are some of the most famous moments from her trailblazing career. New York radio ban. In 1990, O'Connor's refusal to allow the American national anthem to be played before her concert at the Garden State Arts Center in New Jersey caused her music to be banned from several radio stations in New York. Explaining her actions at the time, she said she had a policy of not allowing national anthems to be played before her concerts because they had nothing to do with music in general. Boycotting the Grammys. She boycotted the Grammy Awards in 1991, refusing to accept her trophy for Best Alternative Album. O'Connor said that the awards acknowledge mostly the commercial side of art, adding that the main reason for their existence was material gain. Tearing up a picture of the Pope. Perhaps the most infamous and at the time controversial moment of O'Connor's career was her decision to tear up a photo of Pope John Paul II on Saturday Night Live in 1992. Appearing on the US show with her head shaved and wearing a white dress, she performed an a cappella version of Bob Marley's 1976 song War. She sang the lyrics, "And we know we shall win, as we are confident in the victory of good over evil," before holding up a photo of the Pope to the camera and tearing it in half. The next week, actor Joe Pesci hosted Saturday Night Live and held up a repaired photo of John Paul II and said if he had been on the episode with O'Connor, he would have gave her such a smack, being booed at the Bob Dylan tribute show. Days later, O'Connor appeared to an all-star tribute to Bob Dylan at Madison Square Garden and was immediately booed. She was due to sing Dylan's I Believe in You, but sang War again, a cappella. Although consoled and encouraged on stage by her friend Chris Christopherson, she left and broke down, and her performance was kept off the concert CD. Years later, Christopherson recorded Sister Sinead, for which he wrote the lyrics, "And maybe she's crazy, and maybe she ain't, but so was Picasso and so were the saints." Becoming a priest, O'Connor was ordained as a priest by Michael Cox, a bishop from an independent Catholic group in 1991. She announced that she wanted to be known as Mother Bernadette Mary, coming out as a lesbian. In 2000, O'Connor came out as a lesbian. However, in 2005, she said that she was bisexual, adding, "I'm 3/4 heterosexual, a quarter gay. I lean a bit more towards the hairy blokes." Converting to Islam. O'Connor announced in 2018 that she had converted to Islam and would be adopting the name Shuhada David, later Shuhada Sadaqat, although she continued to use Sinéad O'Connor professionally.